speech, and let's talk about it more with our panel. Congressman Becerra, again, this email story, it's just not going away.
We can talk about it. We can investigate it as much as we want. The professionals who are nonpartisan investigated. The FBI came to a conclusion. I suspect that what we'll find is Congress, the Republicans, will probably selectively leak certain portions of that. I suggest that we let the public see the entire set of notes if we're going to start to leak some of them, because it's important for people to understand that the FBI did as thorough investigation on this as possible. It's time to talk about job creation, about taking care of the Zika virus, making sure Flint, Michigan has clean water, all the things, opioid abuse. Let's start talking about the things that Americans are worried about now.
Amanda, what do you make of this development? Obviously, this is going to breathe some new life, some new attention to something that the Clinton campaign doesn't want to talk about.
Yeah, we should see this information. We know that Hillary Clinton said that she was truthful with the FBI. She was not truthful with Congress. She stonewalled investigations.
Comey said she was truthful to the FBI.
Yeah, she was truthful to the FBI. Yeah. She was not truthful with the American people. She stonewalled investigations from Congress and the Inspector General. So we should see what it looks like when Hillary Clinton is truthful. But Republicans should be very careful to not come off as though they're conducting or second-guessing the FBI. This should be about getting clarity on the situation, getting information into the public sphere, and letting the people decide.
And I agree with that. This is a very horrible precedent to set. Now the Congress, the United States Congress, is going to go around and start back-checking the FBI and the work they do, especially in interviews. This is another story that's much ado about nothing. Earlier this week, we had emails from the Clinton Foundation, one of which was someone actually giving information to the Secretary of State, wasn't receiving anything. The other was a young man trying to get a job who was a former advance person, wasn't a staffer, wasn't a donor or anything, simply trying to get a job because of the work he did in Haiti. And then I believe it was on your show, Jake, where we broke the news of Cheryl Mills on her private time going to New York to take part in a charity, which is what the foundation is. Yep. So all of these stories combined are really much ado about nothing. And when you look at it, one of the things that I hope the Clinton campaign begins to do is start talking about the millions of children that the Clinton Foundation helps around the world, the millions of women who now have health care around the world, the millions of young people who are now getting educated around the world because of the Clinton Foundation.
Governor?
Hillary Clinton is a known non-truth teller. The bottom line is that the people of America know that she does not tell the truth. And we deserve the right to see the transcripts or the notes from the FBI. Director Comey said that she was untruthful. She has a history of that.
He said Bill Clinton. I guess the fact check is, and then I'll let you finish, I'm sorry, is he said that she was truthful to the FBI, and then when read a bunch of statements that she had made to the American people, he said that they were not true.
And she didn't tell the truth to the American public. She completely lied to the American public. People need somebody with character to sit in the White House and to direct and be the commander-in-chief of this country. And Hillary Clinton,
after 30,000 emails or pages of emails, we know about as much as this as we're going to find. The FBI is now being investigated by the Congress, or Republicans in Congress. It's time for us to take a look at one tax return from Donald Trump. Maybe find out how his wife got her legal status to be in this country. Those are the kinds of things that I think people really deserve to know.
I think that people need to know that you have somebody that's going to be president of the United States that is honest and has character.
And then became a citizen.
And you've got an Obama administration that directs the DOJ not to prosecute.
That's not what happened. That never happened. See, this is what happened. This is what happens in Trump's America. We begin to get fact-free. That is not what happened. We can't live in this fact-free America. What happens is the DOJ, the Department of Justice, actually looked into the Clinton Foundation, found it was nothing there. So when the FBI came back and said, we want to look into it, they said, we've already taken that step.
No, there were
There's
two
nothing
separate things.
there.
The FBI said that they had a tip from a foreign national that had a questionable donation, had some kind of questionable financial transaction. He was also a donor to the Clinton Foundation. The DOJ then said, we already looked at some allegations in Clinton cash. These may have been two separate subjects, but the reason why everyone wants to go back and look at the investigation, I think it's because Hillary Clinton doesn't answer any questions. Look at what happened in the State Department press briefing earlier this week. Reporters tried to find out. Talking about the state. One interview in front of a conference where you had to pay to get in. She does not do press conferences. She does not answer questions from the press. And that is why people have to go and look at everything else she's ever said.
11
That was the Benghazi investigation.
11 hours in front of the Benghazi. So now we want to have another investigation with her sitting there for 11 hours?
Answer me this. Why does Hillary Clinton find it that she has to keep the Clinton Foundation running while she's Secretary of State, while she's campaigning?
Because of the good work
Isn't being presidential candidate good enough?
I'm not going to be one of these people.
Can she just be a public servant? Why does she have have to
I'm
keep
not
this
going
going.
to be one of the people who backs away from the good work the Clinton Foundation does. And I hope that the campaign begins to
Isn't
be
being
on the
president
offense more.
possibly enough for her and Bill?
Well, no. Why can't they do good work through the foundation?
can't they focus on the presidency?
Because children need the Clinton Foundation
They can
throughout
always
the
go
world.
back and do
you
that.
have
They should-
9.9 million kids who now
Sure.
have access to vaccinations because of the Clinton Foundation.
And
I'm
the
not
why-
making
And
this
we
up.
don't-
and
we
the
don't talk
Clintons
about
need the
issues that are
foundation
really
to
of
fill their
concern to the American
pockets. They
people.
run around the countries pickpocketing everybody
Well,
to put into their
Governor-
personal bank
Governor,
accounts. Not
this is
for
what
the
we'll make a
benefit of
deal.
other
I'm
countries.
gonna get Secretary Clinton to do a press conference on the Clinton Foundation when you get Donald Trump's tax returns.
Deal.
All right. I'm glad. Common ground achieved here right now.